What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Movie Shit, a podcast about movies and shit. I'm your host, Roger Fountain. I'm opting out of the fake sponsors this time. If you watched the first live stream Movie Shit that we did about the new Super Mario Brothers movie, thank you. And yeah, we didn't have any fake sponsors on that either, but I was playing New Super Mario Brothers 2 in the background. So those watching via video, got a little sample of how fucking awful I am at video games. How truly goddamn terrible I am. But anyway, so today we're talking about Beau Is Afraid by Ari Aster, the new movie. I know it's out in LA and New York. I'm not sure if it's wide release yet, but yeah, I saw it last night. I'm going to try to keep this first part spoiler free, just for people that, haven't seen it yet. Obviously, it's pretty fresh. I'm just going to talk about it in the context of Ari's other body of work. Hereditary and Midsummer. Those were his other two features. So him and Robert Eggers both only have 3 features out. But anyways, all of which are just great. But yeah, so if you have a chance to check out his AFI, his American Film Institute, short films and stuff that he made on YouTube, if you like his other stuff, you'll like his short films too. And some of it kind of plays into Beau Is Afraid, certain influences and stuff for sure. Just because, he went to AFI here in California, and one of his short films centers around like homeless people and stuff, and it's pretty good. And there's some of those influences in Beau Is Afraid. That's not a super spoiler. So that's more like a tonal thing. But anyways, The Secret About the Johnsons, that one will fuck you up. Like, that's my favorite thing about Ari Aster stuff is like, yeah, it's probably going to fuck you up. It's all of his stuff most of his stuff revolves around family trauma. And Beau Is Afraid isn't an exception for sure. But yeah, we saw him. We went to see a double feature at the American Cinematheque, the Aero Theater out in Santa Monica. Beyond Fest is happening right now. It's our favorite film festival. But anyways, he was there, and we saw a double feature of Hereditary and then a director's cut of Midsummer. We did not stick around for Midsummer because, I'd love to see the director's cut. It's got like 22 extra minutes is what he said. But goddamn, those fucking movies are so goddamn long. Like, I can't, man. I'm 30 years old. We stayed out. The fucking movie started at like 7:30. By the time we got out of there, it was like 11 o'clock. I'm like, I'm not going to watch a whole nother movie until fucking 3 a.m. Fuck that noise. So we bailed after the Q&A. But yeah, man, he was an interesting fellow. You would think he'd be an interesting fellow with the subject matters and his movies and stuff that he covers. Not like me, not the best public speaker, and that's not a knock against him. That's just, who he is. He doesn't, I can't see him enjoying being interviewed. And the fucking moderator they got, man, was some film critic from the New York Times. And he just couldn't read the fucking room. Like, I feel like anybody in the entertainment business, as long as you're not just writing behind a computer, you can kind of feel out whatever social setting you're in, you can feel out like how extreme to go, how much the person that you're talking to is comfortable talking to you in front of an audience. Like, you can gauge that shit. And if need be, you can fill the air with pointless nonsense to cloud that fact and only ask him yes or no questions, because he was uncomfortable on stage and didn't want to elaborate on anything, which is fine. It's his fucking movies. We're all there to see him. And so, but the moderator, man, was just like, I'll ask a more simple one. Like, you don't say it, like, you do that shit. You don't say that shit. Fuck, man. It was the worst interview I've ever seen. Just because it was live too, man. It was cringy. Fuck. Goddamn. Anyways, super, super sweet guy. We got his signature on a poster of Midsummer. Interesting guy, but obviously not more of a director and a writer and not necessarily a public persona. The night after that, we went and saw went and saw. We seen the 20th anniversary of House of a Thousand Corpses, and Rob Zombie and Sherry Moon Zombie was there. Could not be nicer. Great. They did not sign anything. They were not taking pictures or fucking. They got the fuck out of there, man. They were like, security was like, hey, everybody sit down. But that's because fucking Rob Zombie, man's like, what can you say? He's a rock star and a filmmaker. Like, fucking, yeah, go about your day, bro. I'm not sweating. I'm not sweating getting a sig from you. I know you're really busy. I think he's going on a new tour with Alice Cooper, too. So if you get a chance to see White Zombie and Alice Cooper, I bet you that shit will be fucking lit. I'm just surprised Alice Cooper's still fucking kicking around. God bless him. Maybe I need to start using fucking eyeliner to mask up my my crow's feet and under eye bags. Anyways, too personal. But yeah, they were great. Sherry Moon was so fucking funny, man. So fucking funny. She was hilarious, dude. She was fucking slaying that shit. And she was like, oh, it's been a while since I've been in a room with people in it or something. And Rob's like, yeah, I guess we need to get out more. Oh, man. They're so cute together. God damn it. They're just fucking great. And yeah, so the shot whenever she goes into Red Hot Pussy Lickers on House of a Thousand Corpses, she laughed. She was like, I'm not just going to stare at my ass with everybody else looking at it the whole time. And that's... this is... All right, so let's bring it back to Ari Aster, who likes to use nudity in his films. Like, but you can play it up however you want it, right? Like, you can be funny, you can be sexy with it, or you can be horrifying with it. And one of the questions in the interview with Ari, he was like, yeah, I just try to sit there and think of things that make me uncomfortable and then put it in there. So I'm like, all right, your movies make a lot of sense. And he's like, what would really be weird, he's like, whenever he was talking about the ideas that he had for Hereditary, spoiler alert for Hereditary and Midsommar, by the way, I'm not going to be sorry about that. Those are old movies. In Midsommar, he was like, I knew the opening thought for that movie was, when he was writing it, he said, I knew I wanted to take a little girl's head off. And I'm like, that's fucking, that's perfect. That's beautiful. Who doesn't fucking love that shit? Like, what kind of movie are you doing, bro? Well, I know I want to take a little girl's head off. Perfect. Beautiful. Great. What is this? Is this like, we're getting into, anyways. Huge family dramatic moment or whatever, right? He loves that shit. That's what he does. What else did he say? The other thought he had, he knew he wanted people crawling along the wall, so you have like classic horror imagery. Like nobody ever shot the ceiling until like Citizen Kane or whatever. And so if you remember in Hereditary, there's like shots of the ceiling with Toni Collette hanging up there and like crawling across the fucking ceiling on like wires and shit. But anyways, so yeah, he just like built a plot around all the visual stuff that he wanted to see put together. And Beau Is Afraid is, I can see, he said he wrote Beau Is Afraid before he wrote Hereditary and Midsommar. He wrote it, I guess, right after college or something. He wrote Midsommar during like a breakup, which it's a breakup movie, if you know. And yeah, he was just like, that's my biggest complaint about Beau Is Afraid, which I like the subjects that he tackles and visually the subject matter and stuff. And like, there's a lot of fun effects and everything. But it just felt, this is my least favorite of his three movies, Hereditary, Midsommar, and Beau Is Afraid. It's more comedical for sure. I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying that. Still horrifying, still gets you there, and he's like, he even said that he was like, I guess horror is what I'm known for now. I'm like, yeah, I guess he's kind of like shoehorned in, but this is definitely a branch out. But yeah, it was too loose. I like abstract things. I can handle, just the idea of something. I don't necessarily need to see it. Like, Reservoir Dogs was a huge thing for Tarantino because it was a bank heist movie, but you never saw the bank heist. That was the unique thing about it. So I'm fine with, not showing everything. And like, in The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan, whenever Heath Ledger cuts that guy's like mouth from here to whatever, his ear, it doesn't show that. It just cuts away and you kind of have to like fill in the blanks, but it's still very sinister and dark. So I'm fine with not resolving everything, but I am a stickler for like payoffs. So I know that sounds contradictory and kind of like an oxymoron, but if you're going to, it's not like a Chekhov's gun. If you're going to introduce something, I want it to make sense in the world that you're building. And he went on for a bit in the interview, which I really liked, about his world building and just like how every frame is packed with detail and that you can't possibly catch everything on the first viewing. And I love that. That means that every shot has a purpose and every character motivation is solid and that the world around it is fulfilling, satisfying, three-dimensional, and immersive, all encompassing, right? You watch Midsummer, he's like, yeah, we had to build all of those sets in a field. And I'm like, yeah, of course you fucking did. But the fact that they built all those and spent all that time painting all the murals and all the detail made you feel like this little society. And that's what his movies, he talked about this a little bit too. His movies are really about like villages. Maybe it wasn't the worst interview I've seen. It was actually pretty good now that I think about it. It's just, it felt awkward. I didn't like being in the room as it happened. Anyways, which is always like the case with his movies. Like in Midsummer, he's like, yeah, it's about like that little tight village. And all of his movies are kind of about finding your tribe type deal, right? Like all these people kind of like fit together for some reason. However strange it may be, all these people belong here. And so with Hereditary, it was that family. I forget what the last name of the characters are. But they were their own little tribe. And then, like, obviously, the further extended tribe of the demonic cult that their grandma was a part of, that all kind of fit together. So that was like a clash of two different people. And in Hereditary, it's a whole village of people that, you know, have just accepted this whole concept of seasons in their life. Like the first 18 years is summer, and then the second spring, and then to 36 to... oh, God, I haven't done math in a long time. 54? And then to 72? Anyways, 18-year blocks of seasons of life, and you spend the winters, like, back home or whatever. If you haven't seen Midsummer, it's a great movie. If you're sensitive to horror stuff, obviously don't watch it, but it's really fun. And fun, by fun, I mean traumatizing. But anyways... So yeah, and Beau Is Afraid also has an aspect to that, but it's not revealed until later. So with that being said, I'm going to say from here on out, spoilers for Beau Is Afraid. Okay? You listened, whatever. It was like 17 minutes, 15 minutes of me yammering on about different shit. So now is the point to stop the podcast if you haven't seen Beau Is Afraid, because I'm going to spoil it. All right? Guys, what the fuck was up with that goddamn cock monster? What the fuck, man? She's like, you have no idea what I did to have you. And I'm like, no, I don't. I really fucking don't. And I don't care to. I don't care to know how you got pregnant by that huge fucking cock and balls monster a la Jackass 3. Anyways, so yeah. Beau Is Afraid is fine, but like I said previously, it's just a collection of ideas that I think he wanted to see realized on the big screen, and he didn't necessarily have the plot to map it all together. That's what I felt like. So one of the things that bothers me, and this happened in like Men, he creates this world, and he kind of breaks his own rules. Whatever, like, he fast forwards to the security cam footage and sees the future. This whole movie is fucking abstract, right? One fucking crazy ass thing goes on to the next, and there's no way I couldn't call anything, and I try to stay away from spoilers and stuff, and I couldn't predict where the fuck it was going at all. It just kept escalating. It kept getting weirder and weirder, and that was fucking great. That's exactly what I wanted from an Ari Aster movie for sure. But yeah, he gets a little political with it at the end with like the defense, and it's even like misspelled 1-800-DEFENSE, and the guy's just fucking sitting there and you can't hear him because he doesn't have access to any funds or any like money or anything. And so the people that the big through line of the movie, I felt, was the people with all the money and all the power will get away with whatever they can, like whatever they need to. They can get away with anything. They can get away with having having babies from a giant cock monster that they keep locked up in the basement. Cock monster that they keep locked up in the basement. And that's great. Like, you know, this is my least favorite of his 3 movies, but it's still really fucking good if you like weird shit. But yeah, he fast forwards through time. That bit bothered me. I don't understand the play, My Beautiful Boys play, where he has like 3 sons. That never fucking had a payoff as far as I'm concerned. I realized that everybody worked for his mom, even down to like the crackheads and stuff out in the street, just keeping him under pressure. It's kind of like the Truman Show meets, not the Crazies, but, you know, like, it ends up being the Truman Show, but it starts off just like a 90s thing. We're like, oh, this poor guy, all of this stuff's happening to him. Can't anything go right in his life? And then you realize, and Joaquin Phoenix, everybody does a great job. You realize that he's rich. He's part of the elite. He's not only is he rich, he's mega rich. He's so rich that the logo for one of the news networks that his mom runs, is in the opening credits as a business. Like, it's fourth wall breaking is how rich he is. And you're like, you could have gotten yourself out of this terrible situation at any point in time if he would have went home to his mom, but he doesn't do that. And so that's the big thing of this movie, is the mother-son relationship. And just because she was kind of a cunt to him when he was a kid, he was like, he's just refusing to accept any help whatsoever from her, and would rather fight for his life every day to get back into his house. Like, there's, you know, the crackhead that's on the loose, and also the fucking random naked stabbing guy. Hey, we brought it back to nudity. There is nudity in the movie. Who's like stabbing people, and she like pays to get him hit by like a fucking car. All of this, and fakes her death just to get him to come home. So, and another thing that didn't pay off was, if you watch the movie, you know that he hasn't he's never came in his entire life, from childhood to adulthood. Never had an ejaculation, right? That's like a big thing, because like his dad supposedly died the first time that he had an ejaculation, which was a lie on his mom's part. And then like also he has a twin brother that lives up in the fucking basement that they never talk about. The dick monster doesn't die. Nothing gets resolved in this movie. So, but yeah, he just happens to have a twin brother. That goes nowhere. He literally has no lines. It's just Joaquin Phoenix in a fucking wig and beard. Eating out of dog bowls, chained up. So that never pays off. What was the other thing that I got lost on a fucking tangent there? There's so much shit in this movie, man. It's so dense. It's very much just like a social commentary. And I think if the Academy had any balls, they would see how similar it is to like Parasite. But they're not going to, because Parasite was like borderline horror, right? Like, well, I guess this is borderline horror too. It could be comedy. Maybe we'll see it at the Oscars. But yeah, what was the other thing that never fucking pays off? Yes, so he comes inside of his childhood crush, and she instantly dies. So how did his mom survive it? It's under the assumption that I guess it's just like, she has enough money to. She knew the consequences. They filtered that cum through whatever. They jacked them off with like fucking big-ass machinery jack-off machines. And that's the cool thing about this movie, is that whatever it doesn't say, it makes you think about later. And you don't... It's not necessarily the best thing, because it definitely sears itself into your fucking memory. Just like Midsommar or Hereditary does. Everybody remembers from Hereditary Charlie getting her head taken off, obviously. And everybody remembers fucking Toni Collette sawing her head off and her headless body floats up the fucking treehouse. Everybody remembers that. And in Midsommar, whenever the guy... I don't know if everybody remembers it. Everybody remembers the bear and getting set on fire and shit. And like the big sex circle with the old people. Everybody remembers those things, but I don't know if everybody remembers the guy who's strung up, like he's just like split open and you can see his lungs inflate and deflate. That shit fucking stuck with me for a while. So, you know, and there's some good practical effects here, good stunt work by some of the people, obviously. Gets hit by a truck or whatever. And like, yeah, man, it's a trip. There's a whole fucking section, though, with Nathan Lane. Sorry, Nathan Lane's character, Roger. Heyo. That could have been cut from the movie. It doesn't necessarily need to be in there. That's the thing, is like, to get to where we're going. We don't need to spend 3 hours, I think, personally. And, you know, Midsummer's fucking long, and fucking Hereditary's long, and I'm all for, I can sit through long movies. I've sat through, you know, fucking 4-hour like shit. I've sat through a double feature of Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2048. I got no problems. I got no qualms. But why do movies need to be fucking 3 goddamn hours long, man? You can get here in 2. I know you could get here in 2. There's so much fat that could have been trimmed. Anyway, and yeah, the whole there's like a fucking whole group in the woods that are just a bunch of thespians that live out there and make little plays, and they all work for his mom too. Which begs the question, if she controls the entire world, why does she even need to fake her death? And then it turns out, like, it's so fourth wall breaking. The last scene is also, it's a lawyer standoff in this giant stadium. And as the movie ends, everybody just walks out of the stadium too. All right, thanks for listening to Movie Shit, guys. Take it easy.